Hello and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn some confusing prepositions, so let's get started. Sometimes we say on and sometimes we say at. Example, at the table and on the table. What's the difference? A person is at the table and an object is on the table. Well, I guess a person can sit on the table, but we normally don't do that. We sit at the table. Example, they're sitting at the table. I can also say they're eating. They're eating at the table. Let's practice. Are they sitting at the table? That's right, they're sitting at the table. Are they eating at the table? That's right, they're eating at the table. So objects are on the table. Example, the lamp is on the table. Let's practice. Where's the lamp? Is the lamp on the table? That's right, the lamp is on the table. And this idea works for not only tables, but also counters and desks. Example, he's working at his desk. Not on his desk, but at his desk. Let's practice. Is he working at his desk? That's right, he's working at his desk. And if I talk about objects, I say on. There are books on the desk. Let's practice. Are there any books on the desk? That's right, there are books on the desk. Use there are to express existence. There are books on the desk. Let's talk about the counter. If I talk about objects, I say on the counter. The basket is on the counter. Let's practice. Where's the basket? Is the basket on the counter? That's right, the basket is on the counter. And if I talk about a person, I say at the counter. Example, if I go to a fast food place, I prefer to go inside and pay at the counter. I don't like to pay at the drive-thru. I prefer to pay at the counter. What about you? Do you prefer to pay at the counter? Very good. So remember, for tables and counters and desks, use at for a person and on for objects. They're different. But of course, if you sit on a table or you sit on a counter or you sit on a desk, you use on, but that normally doesn't happen. Thank you for watching and keep watching for more. When we talk about the sun, we don't say under the sun, we say in the sun. So the example, he's working in the sun. Not on the sun, not under the sun, but in the sun. He's working in the sun. And we use in for most things regarding weather. Let's practice. Is he working in the sun? That's right, he's working in the sun. Does he like working in the sun? That's right, he doesn't like working in the sun. Or what about here? This is called the shade, and we use the same preposition, in the shade. It's cooler in the shade, definitely. Let's practice. Is it cooler in the shade? That's right, it's cooler in the shade. Let's talk about other weather situations. What about the fog? Yeah, it's in, that's right, in the fog. Example, it's difficult to see in the fog. Let's practice. Is it difficult to see in the fog? That's right, it's difficult to see in the fog. I don't like to drive in the fog. What about you? Do you like to drive in the fog? Very good. And what about the rain? That's right, we use in here too, in the rain. And again, I don't like to drive in the rain. What about you? Do you like to drive in the rain? Very good. He's driving in the rain. Let's practice. Is he driving in the rain? That's right, he's driving in the rain. Does he like driving in the rain? That's right, he doesn't like driving in the rain. Who does? What about wind? That's right, we use the same preposition, in the wind. He's walking in the wind. Let's practice. Is he walking in the wind? That's right, he's walking in the wind. What about snow? That's right, we use in the snow. He's driving in the snow. And it's difficult to drive in the snow. You have to be careful. And it can be scary to drive in the snow. You have to be careful. You have to be careful when driving in the snow. Let's practice. Is he driving in the snow? That's right, he's driving in the snow. Can it be scary to drive in the snow? That's right, it can be scary to drive in the snow. Do you need to be careful when you drive in the snow? That's right, you need to be careful when you drive in the snow. Now what about ice? Well, ice is different. We say on the ice. Not in the ice, but on the ice. You walk on the ice, you drive on the ice. Use on when you talk about ice. Example, it's very dangerous to walk on the ice. You might slip and fall. Let's practice. Is it dangerous to walk on the ice? That's right, it's dangerous to walk on the ice. What might happen? That's right, you might slip and fall. And it's dangerous to drive on the ice. You might have an accident. Let's practice. Is it dangerous to drive on the ice? That's right, it's dangerous to drive on the ice. Don't do it. Stay home. That's safer. Now let's talk about places. What about the beach? We say on the beach. They're having a party on the beach. Let's practice. Are they having a party on the beach? That's right, they're having a party on the beach. Example, they're having a cookout on the beach. Let's practice. Are they having a cookout on the beach? That's right, they're having a cookout on the beach. What about mountain? Is it in the mountain, in the mountains, on the mountain? Keep watching to practice with mountain because it's tricky. Which is correct? In the mountains? On a mountain? On the mountain? Well, they're all correct. But they're used a little differently. Let's take a closer look. First, let's talk about in the mountains. We have to put an S at the end. Mountains. When we say in the mountains, we use the preposition in. In the mountains means an area where there are mountains. If you're in the area, you're in the mountains. Example, this is a log cabin, or you can just say a cabin. This is a cabin. And the cabin is in the mountains. It's in the area where there are mountains. The cabin is in the mountains. Let's hear some examples.
I mean, I don't mind waking up at the crack of dawn, but not to get lost in the mountains and miss the snake.
So we went up in the mountains, and this huge snowstorm came in.
Going through this pass in the mountains.
I mean, it might be good for me to get up in the mountains and...
Thank you.
We're having problems with them being in the mountains.
They got snowbound one winter in the mountains.
I wasn't always here in the mountains.
You will report to Sarsani for duty in the mountains.
We heard different pronunciations. Some people say mountains, and some people say mountains. Both are correct. So you can pronounce the T and say mountains, mountains. Or you can use a stop T and say mountains. Use a stop T, mount, and then you fall to the N. Mountains. Mountains. The cabin is in the mountains. Let's practice. Where is the cabin? Is the cabin in the mountains? That's right, the cabin is in the mountains. What about on a mountain? You can say on a mountain if you're talking about one mountain in general. Example, the cabin is on a mountain. It's one mountain and I'm speaking in general. So I can say the cabin is on a mountain. Let's hear some examples with on a mountain.
On a mountain, outside the Mexican village.
No, it's a bike on a mountain.
Let's practice. Is the cabin on a mountain? That's right, the cabin is on a mountain. What about on the mountain? You can say on the mountain If you're talking about a specific mountain, a mountain that I already know about, we use the for a specific mountain that we already know about. On the mountain. Let's hear some examples with on the mountain.
He should have been my greatest champion, but his focus was not always on the mountain.
He says Magoo needs to go up on the mountain and get himself focused.
By going on the mountain and being bitten by the snake over and over.
Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere.
Example, we're going skiing, and I already know about the mountain. I know about the mountain, and you know about the mountain, the specific mountain. So I can say, is there a ski lift on the mountain? This is called a ski lift. It takes the skiers up to the top of the mountain. Is there a ski lift on the mountain? And the answer is yes. There's a ski lift on the mountain, on the specific mountain that I already know about. I can ask, where is our cabin? Is our cabin on the mountain? Yes, our cabin is on the mountain, the specific mountain we already know about. Let's practice. Is there a ski lift on the mountain? That's right, there's a ski lift on the mountain. Where's our cabin? Is our cabin on the mountain? That's right, our cabin is on the mountain. So we see, sometimes we say in the mountains to talk about the area, and you can say on a mountain to talk about one mountain in general, and you can say on the mountain to talk about a specific mountain that we already know about. They're all a little different. Which is correct? On the mountain or in the mountain? On the mountain is correct. In the mountain means inside the mountain, but that's not the idea. So we use on the mountain. On the mountain means on a specific mountain, but you can also say in the mountains. Put the S on mountain and you can use the preposition in the mountains. So what's the difference? In the mountains means a general area. I'm not talking about one specific mountain, I'm talking about the area where the mountains are. That's in the mountains. So talking about the general area in the mountains, I can say it's cold. It's colder. It's much colder in the mountains, comparing it with other areas. It's much colder in the mountains. Let's practice. Is it much colder in the mountains? That's right, it's much colder in the mountains. Now I'm talking about a specific mountain, I say on the mountain. There's a restaurant on the mountain. People go skiing and they can eat at the restaurant on the mountain. Let's practice. Is there a restaurant on the mountain? That's right, there's a restaurant on the mountain. Let's talk about pronunciation. Mountain. Mountain. You have two pronunciations. You can say mountain, making the T sound. Mountain. Mountain. Or you can make a stop T, mount, put the tongue up and stop the air, and then fall to the N. Mountain. Both pronunciations are correct. Another example, they're skiing. They're skiing on the mountain or they're skiing in the mountains. Both are correct. If I say they're skiing on the mountain, I'm talking about a specific mountain. This mountain right here, they're skiing on the mountain. But if I want to talk about the general area, they're skiing in the mountains. They're both correct, but they're a little different. So remember, on the mountain is a specific mountain, and in the mountains with the S is a general area. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.